Gu Qinghan and I grew up together, yet resented each other all our lives. She resented me for taking matters into my own hands and restoring her memories, which drove the love of her life to jump to his death. I resented her for breaking her promise. She promised to love me forever, then fell for someone else after losing her memory. For 10 years of marriage, we were cold as ice. We were strangers who knew each other best. But when I was diagnosed with a terminal illness, and everyone urged her to divorce me, carrying me on her back, Gu Qinghan took one step, then bowed to the ground, all the way up 3,000 steps. She prayed before the Buddha for a day and night, begging only for me to live. As I lay dying, she sat vigil beside my bed all night. Her forehead rested against my cheek. In a low voice, she said, Chuan, I have fulfilled every duty I owed you in this life. If there is another life, I hope you will not make me regain my memories again. Let me be with him instead. Tears slid from the corners of my eyes. At last, I understood. I should not have used the love of our youth to bind her and burden her for a lifetime. Perhaps heaven took pity on me. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day I found Gu Qinghan. This time, I chose not to restore her memories. I let the girl I loved in my youth run to her moon. Miss Gu has lost her memory and refuses to come back with us. But we have contacted the leading neurological specialist. He will restore her memories soon. The exact same words. They were no different from when I found the missing Gu Qinghan in my previous life. But this time, I felt none of the joy or urgency I had felt before. I shook my head and refused. Then I did two things. First, I went to the hospital for an extremely thorough examination. Second, I took my confirmed diagnosis of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis to Mr. and Mrs. Gu and called off the engagement. Mrs. Gu held my hand, shaking her head. Her eyes were terribly red. You cannot call off this engagement. Qinghan loves you so much. She will never marry anyone but you. I said nothing, only showed them a photograph. In it, Gu Qinghan gazed at the man standing quietly at the aquarium. Her eyes were gentle and utterly enamored. Rather than force her to marry me, a terminally ill man, it was better to leave things as they were and let her be with the man she loved. I did not want to burden her anymore. In my past life, Gu Qinghan vanished unexpectedly, and I searched for her for 5 years. Then I discovered Hui had taken her in. The two of them were sweetly in love. Ignoring Qinghan's wishes, I forced a hypnosis specialist to restore her memories. The day her memories returned, Hui jumped to his death. From then on, between Gu Qinghan and me lay an unbridgeable chasm. For 10 years of marriage, we were cold as ice, until I developed amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Gu Qinghan cared for me closely for 7 years. She fed me, washed me, took me to pray, and sought doctors for me. But I knew she did it all only out of a wife's duty, not because she truly loved me. Holding back my tears, I choked out, there is no future for Gu Qinghan and me. In this life, I will not repeat the same mistake. After leaving the Gu residence, I went to find Hui. The moment Hui spotted me, he hurriedly sent Gu Qinghan away. He frantically explained, no, I did not deliberately hide Qinghan from you. I replied coolly, you know exactly whether you did. Seeing he could not hide it anymore, Hui clamped his lips together, then gave up all pretense. His emotions flared. Li Chuan, I know, you have always been the only one in her heart. Once she gets her memories back, she will leave me and come straight to you. But from the first moment I saw her in high school, I have loved her. I have loved her for so many years. Yet I never received even a shred of her affection. It was so hard to get this chance. I only wanted her to stay by my side for a few more days. Just a few days. By the end, his voice trembled with tears. I listened quietly, but looked past him, at Gu Qinghan behind him. Her dark eyes never left me. Her entire body was taut, a storm ready to erupt brewed in her eyes. The woman who once followed me like a shadow had become someone else's vicious guard dog. At the slightest threat from me toward Hui, she would pounce on me and tear a piece of flesh from my body. I could not describe what I felt. I only knew that, in the second life, I could not selfishly keep Gu Qinghan bound to my side again. A faint smile touched my lips. I told Hui, you do not need to be afraid. I did not come to separate you two. I only came to take you back to the Gu residence. Hui jolted, staring at me in disbelief. I nodded to him. You are the one she loves. If you stay behind, she surely will not come with us either. Pack your things. Go back to the Gu residence with Gu Qinghan. My voice was utterly calm. Uncle and Aunt know about you, too. They do not oppose you and Gu Qinghan being together. Overwhelmed by the enormous surprise, Hui took Gu Qinghan's hand and beamed at her. Then he turned and hurried off to pack. Only then was Gu Qinghan convinced I meant Hui no harm. She pressed her lips together, her manner softening. Sorry, I thought you were going to hurt Hui. Her every mood now revolved around Hui. No one remembered how, when Hui used to pester her endlessly, she would throw herself irritably into my arms, deliberately looking aggrieved, urging me to act like her rightful partner and publicly stake my claim. You have to tell them, I belong to you alone. Say it fiercely. She would make funny faces and pretend to look fierce for me to copy. In the end, we would always dissolve into laughter, rolling around the couch and playfully wrestling. What a pity. Gu Qinghan no longer belonged to me. I forced a smile. Then I took them back to the Gu residence. When it came time to introduce me, everyone hesitated, unsure what to say. I spoke first. I am the friend you grew up with. I always cared for you like a little sister. You even said you would set me up with someone. But after you lost your memory, it got put off until now. Those who knew the truth wore complicated expressions. But Gu Qinghan did not suspect a thing. She joked, all right, once things settle down, as your little sister, I will find you a girlfriend right away. At midnight, the glow of a fire woke me. I opened my door and saw that everything connected to Gu Qinghan and me was burning fiercely in a bonfire. Photos from our childhood, competition certificates we earned together, even the wooden doll she gave me when she confessed her love. Each piece crackled as it turned to ash. A sharp pain stabbed my chest, as though something had clenched my heart. Then Gu Qinghan turned to me. We did not have partners before, so being close did not seem inappropriate. But Hu Wei lives with me now. Seeing these things made him unhappy, so I burned them. I hope you do not mind. I clenched my fists tight, unwilling to let Gu Qinghan see my misery. It is all right, I answered softly. You might as well burn the things in my room too. I returned to my room and gathered every old belonging connected to Gu Qinghan, then threw them into the fire. Flames lashed toward me with waves of heat, yet I felt as though I were submerged in icy water. For the next several days, the courtyard constantly rang with the clatter of demolition. The gardenias Gu Qinghan had personally planted for me, which once filled the courtyard, were all dug up. They were replaced with Hu Wei's favorite roses. The glass conservatory, where we played piano and watched sunsets, was smashed apart. It was rebuilt as a swimming pool for Hu Wei to exercise in. Even the wisteria trellis where we confessed our feelings was torn down and turned into the lotus pond Hu Wei loved. The day they planted lotus seeds, Hu Wei suddenly stopped me in the courtyard. He held his chin high, deliberately displaying the ring on his ring finger. Qinghan found the design sketch for this ring in her room. She said it was obviously meant for her future husband, then stayed up for several nights to make it by hand and proposed to me. He waved his finger. Do you think this ring is pretty? The bird and fish design had once been my favorite. I nodded sincerely. It is beautiful. It suits your hand very well. But Hu Wei's face suddenly darkened. I do not like it. Who was this design meant for? You and I both know. He stared at me, his gaze sharp. You always say you have no feelings for Qinghan, but the feelings she once had for you are a ticking time bomb. I cannot rest easy. Then what do you want? I asked. I want. Before he finished, Hu Wei suddenly threw himself sideways, plunging straight into the filthy water of the newly dredged lotus pond. A powerful force shoved me aside. I staggered and fell to the ground. Agonizing pain shot through my ankle. My palms struck the sharp gravel, and a searing pain spread up my arms. Before I could get up, Gu Qinghan dove into the water like she had gone mad. By the time she dragged Hu Wei ashore, both were covered in foul-smelling mud and water, utterly bedraggled. But Gu Qinghan had no thought for herself. She frantically wiped the mud from Hu Wei's face, her voice full of panic. Hu Wei, are you all right? Did you choke on water? Do your eyes hurt? Were they scratched? After a long moment, Hu Wei finally shook his head. Pouting, he looked at Gu Qinghan. Tears streamed down his face. I am fine. It is just that the ring you gave me was thrown into the water. I fell in trying to retrieve it. As he spoke, he held out his hand. The ring was already gone. Qinghan, the Gu family does not welcome me at all. His eyes reddened. Can we go back to our rented apartment? At least no one bullies me there. That pitiful look instantly wrenched Gu Qinghan's heart. Her eyes turned icy. Who threw away your ring? Who bullied you? Hu Wei pressed his lips together and said nothing. He only darted a timid glance at me. The fear and grievance in his eyes made the implication perfectly clear. Clutching my swollen ankle, I spoke in disbelief. It was not me. But Gu Qinghan swept a cold glance over me. Her gaze was like icy needles, piercing me with cold. I had no reason to steal the ring, I explained hoarsely. You know the truth. Gu Qinghan left me with those words, helped Hu Wei up, then signaled the bodyguards. Whoever threw the ring must go into the water and retrieve it himself. The bodyguards immediately understood. They grabbed me and threw me into the pond. The winter pond water was bone-chilling. The moment I hit the water, I began shivering violently. I desperately tried to climb ashore, but they seized my shoulders and shoved me back down. Mr. Li, until you find the ring, we cannot let you come up. The bodyguard's voice was without warmth. If you want to suffer less, find it quickly. Biting my lip, I resigned myself to bobbing helplessly in the filthy water. My fingertips felt through the freezing mud again and again. Dirty water flooded through my sleeves, leaving my fingers stiff and numb, nearly senseless. From dawn until nightfall, until Father and Mother Gu were about to return, I finally found the ring. Clutching it, I dragged myself step by step to Gu Qinghan's door. I knocked softly. When Gu Qinghan opened the door, she looked at me darkly. Let it go this time. Stay away from Hu Wei from now on. With that, She turned over her hand and casually tossed the ring out the corridor window. It fell into the deep night. Huwei does not like this design. I will design him another one. I watched the ring I had fought so hard to recover vanish into the darkness. I gave a bitter smile. Of course, since she saw the past as a burden, there was no place for a ring marked by old memories. Though father and Mother Gu still had reservations about Huwei, they could not withstand Gu Qinghan's insistence. In the end, they grudgingly began carefully planning the engagement party. The engagement party was extravagantly lavish. The guests kept glancing at me. Li Chuan is truly pitiful. He worked so hard to find back the woman he loved, only for her to marry someone else. They grew up together, and their families were a perfect match. We all thought they would end up together. Who could have expected this? If I were Li Chuan, I would slap that heartless woman and that scumbag man. How could I possibly attend their party? At that moment, Huwei, dressed in a luxury designer suit, slowly walked to the center of the hall. Gu Qinghan held his hand, her eyes overflowing with tenderness. Everyone. She cleared her throat. Her voice had lost its usual casualness, replaced by cool sincerity. Allow me to formally introduce. But before she could finish, the ballroom lights suddenly flickered twice, then went completely dark. In the darkness, chairs and tables crashed amid shrill screams. The room instantly descended into chaos. Instinctively, I backed a steps toward a corner, but someone suddenly grabbed my wrist. A handkerchief reeking of a pungent smell was clamped over my nose and mouth. The world instantly began spinning. I struggled desperately. In the final moment before I blacked out, all I could hear were deafening screams. I did not know how much time passed. Through the haze, Huwei's deliberately hushed her reached me. Damn it. Who told you to act at the engagement party? I only told you to kidnap me and pin the blame on Li Chuan. Who told you to bring him to? No matter how convincing your act was this time, you can forget about the remaining payment. You ruined my entire plan. As my awareness returned, I instantly understood. This was another one of Huwei's schemes to frame me. But this time, things seemed to have gone differently than he expected. While struggling earlier, I felt a gun holster at one man's waist. These people were not the petty thugs Huwei had hired. What chilled me even more was this. The kidnapper leader's voice sounded very familiar. He seemed to be the rival whom not long ago, during a business war, Gu Qinghan had driven into a corner. After a long while, the kidnappers finally connected a video call. Gu Qinghan, one is your childhood friend. The other is the lover you chose after losing your memory. Who will you save? Gu Qinghan maintained a calm expression, but when her gaze landed on the red mark on Huwei's face, she suddenly lost control. Touch one hair on Huwei's head, and I will make every one of you pay with your lives. With my eyes closed, a burning ache suddenly filled them. Tears silently slid from the corners of my eyes. There was really nothing to hope for. I should have known whom Gu Qinghan would choose. The kidnapper suddenly burst into laughter. You really thought I would give you a choice. As soon as he finished, I was dragged into a glass box. A warm body was pressed tightly against mine. The glass box holding us was violently thrown into the sea, sending up a massive splash. Weighted with stones, it sank faster and faster. I quickly took out a key, gripped it tight, and smashed it against the glass. The rushing current swept shards of glass across my limbs. Gritting my teeth, I dragged the unconscious Huwei from the box, then fought my way toward the surface. By the time I surfaced, I was nearly out of strength, but I could not stop. I hurriedly pushed Huwei onto a piece of driftwood. I gently tapped him with my fingertips. You have to live. As long as you live, the obsession she has carried all her life will finally have a home. As I pulled the driftwood toward shore, my damned amyotrophic lateral sclerosis suddenly flared up. My arms instantly went numb. Helplessly, I sank into the deep sea. Watching light ripple across the water's surface, I slowly closed my eyes. Enough. Let it end like this. Before my consciousness vanished completely, I vaguely saw someone reaching for me with all their strength. Was that outstretched hand just an illusion? When I opened my eyes again, I saw the stark white ceiling of a hospital. The nurse rushed over excitedly. Thank goodness. You are finally awake. You have been unconscious for 2 days. If you had not woken up, the hospital would have stopped your antibiotics because your identity was unknown. Without medication, your lung infection could relapse. I asked hoarsely while I was unconscious. Did no one come to see me? No. The nurse sighed. You are so pitiful. The young man brought in with you that day only swallowed a little water, but his girlfriend immediately arranged a private luxury suite for him and never left his side. I froze for a moment, then smiled in acceptance. Just then, someone gently knocked on the ward door. A familiar voice sounded from the doorway at Chuan. I abruptly looked up. The moment I saw that beautiful figure clearly, tears burst from my eyes. I couldn't reach you. So, I came looking for you myself. The woman came to my bedside and pulled me tightly into her arms. Her large hand gently stroked my hair. Come, go home with your sister. My sister and I boarded a helicopter. The private jet broke through the clouds, flying resolutely toward a foreign land. I wiped away my final tear and gazed at the horizon beyond the window. Quietly, I said goodbye in my heart. Gu Qinghan, I will let you and Hui have your happiness. From now on, we will never meet again." The whole hospital was saying that President Gu, just to determine whether Hui suffered any after effects from nearly drowning, had summoned the world's leading psychologist and psychiatrist. After his consultation, Hui happily said he would share a pair with Qinghan. Qinghan sounded helpless, almost pleading. "We should not split a pair. It means separation. Hui, I do not want to be separated from you." As soon as she spoke, Qinghan's mind was struck by an unrelated memory. It was a beautiful sunny day. A breeze brushed the wind chimes by the window, making them tinkle, carrying the fragrance of wisteria. The boy bit into the pear held to his lips, savoring it before casually putting the leftover half into her mouth. When the woman in the memory realized what she had eaten, her heart shattered. Sharing a pear means separation. "You actually want to be separated from me?" Her dramatic reaction made the boy's eyes widen, but his face seemed veiled in mist, impossible to see clearly. "Qinghan, are you really that afraid of losing me?" "Of course. I will never give you a chance to leave me." Qinghan instinctively pressed a hand to her chest. Her heart was pounding because of that memory. The woman she had been in that memory had treasured that boy with near-obsessive devotion, as though if she let go of his hand, the rest of her life would be soaked by a rainstorm that would never end. Panic stirred in Qinghan's heart. Who was that person? Was it Chuan? That familiar irritation surged up again, more violently than ever. It felt as though something immensely important was slowly slipping away from her. She remembered the kidnapping at the engagement party. The instantly Chuan and Hui were thrown into the sea. It felt as if a hand had clamped around her heart. Before she could think, her body had already jumped into the water. She saw Chuan drag Hui to the surface, then push Hui onto driftwood, while he sank into the depths like a kite with its string cut. Reason told her to save Hui first. He was her fiancé. Saving the man she loved was only natural. Chuan had people nearby. Someone would save him. He would not die. But as she drew closer to Hui, instinct pulled her hand toward that bottomless blue. This was wrong. Qinghan told herself. Even if they were childhood friends, even if her parents, and even Chuan himself, had said he had always considered her a little sister, Chuan should not matter this much to her. But if the person in that sudden memory really was Chuan, then what exactly was he to her? Qinghan abruptly stood. The chair behind her scraped across the floor with a shriek, meeting Hui's puzzled gaze. She pressed her lips together. "I am going to see Chuan." She had barely taken 2 steps when someone tugged her hem. Qinghan looked down and met Hui's reddened eyes. "Qinghan, if you go to Mr. Li, will you not want me anymore?" She did not understand his sudden hurt, but she softened her voice. "Do not be afraid. I only need to confirm something with him." Hui wondered if Qinghan had remembered something. If she truly went to Chuan, would she still treat him as well as she did now? He dared not dwell on it, only furrowing his brow. His voice trembled. "My head hurts so much." Qinghan saw through his act almost instantly, but still went along with him, letting him pull her into his arms. She patted his back while calling for a doctor. He had pulled this act several times already. Whenever she showed any intention of finding Chuan, Hui would pretend to be sick and divert her attention. After enough times, Qinghan began to understand. Hui was afraid of Chuan, but if Chuan were truly only her childhood friend, why would Hui be this nervous? Her thoughts tangled into an inescapable mess. An absurd thought surfaced in her mind, but she swiftly crushed it. If she had truly loved Chuan before, how could he possibly tolerate her being with Hui? Silently, she brushed aside the loose hair at Hui's temple. His eyelashes kept trembling, and she knew he was not asleep at all. Hui was clearly the love of her life, the one she had chosen. What would it change if she asked Chuan to clarify their relationship? It would only hurt Hui. It was not worth it. Qinghan made up her mind and never mentioned Chuan again. She remained as attentive to Hui as ever. Yet the calmer her reason became, the more easily her thoughts drifted out of control. If Chuan truly had been her former lover, what did her falling for Hui mean to Chuan? The next time she drifted off, Hui pressed his lips together, nails digging into his palms, yet pretended to complain. "Qinghan, you are not listening again. Do you not love me anymore?" Qinghan quickly came back to herself, pressed her lips together, and apologized. "Then do you remember what I just said?" She honestly shook her head. Hui sighed. "I have been having nightmares lately. Let us spend some time and retreat at the temple on Huai Mountain. I heard their protection charms are very effective. If I get one, maybe the nightmares will stop." After a brief silence, Qinghan nodded. All right. They went to Huai Mountain Temple, where Qinghan specially obtained a consecrated string of prayer beads for Hui. By temple custom, the worshipper had to personally hang the charm containing the beads from the highest point of the cliff to complete the offering. "I will come back safely." She reassuringly patted Hui's shoulder. Qinghan held the charm between her teeth, checked the safety rope around her waist, and climbed the slick cliff with bare hands. At 10 meters up, she could still hear Hui calling after her. At 50 meters, the wind drowned out every sound. At 100 meters, Fragments of memory suddenly burst forth. Miss Gu used to prepare all this for Mr. Li. She would fill the courtyard with wisteria, then set thousands of lanterns afloat on the river. The cleanup exhausted all of us. It was idle talk from an old Gu family servant. She had dismissed it then, but now every word was clear. At last, she reached the summit and exhaled in relief. She carefully tied the charm to an old pine at the cliff's edge. As she turned to descend, the safety rope at her waist snapped with a sharp crack. Weightlessness seized her instantly. Qinghan did not even have time to scream. She plunged straight down like a kite with its string cut. The reservoir's deep green water swallowed her whole. The instant suffocation closed around her. The shadows of several lotus lanterns flickered across the churning surface above. The floodgates of memory burst open. It was a hazy night. Sky lanterns filled the heavens, lighting the tears in the young man's eyes. Thousands of river lanterns formed a flowing galaxy across the water. You always said there is no moon at the start of the month, when your birthday falls. The young man's voice caught with emotion. It does not matter if there is no moon from now on. I will give you a galaxy instead. She reached out to wipe away his tears. The warmth beneath her fingertips burned her heart with pain. Qinghan struggled desperately underwater, not to breathe, but to part the mist and see that face clearly. Her mind felt pierced by countless needles at once. The pain curled her body, yet she clung fiercely to that shred of clarity. After what felt like forever, before consciousness faded completely, she finally saw him clearly. Those tearful, smiling eyes belonged to Li Chuan. A Chuan, she murmured. The moment the water swallowed her, all her buried memories, like floodwaters breaching a dam, came crashing back into her mind. Since coming abroad, from the initial difficulty adjusting to life here to gradually settling in, it felt as though a century had passed. My stepsister, Ruyan, took excellent care of me. She accompanied me to hospital after hospital and planned my medically prescribed meals down to every gram. When I casually mentioned craving my hometown's cured pork and bamboo shoot stew, she searched all of Chinatown for dried bamboo shoots and cured pork. Ruyan's cooking skills had been forged by time. After our parents' car accident years ago, I locked myself in my room, crying and refusing to eat. She had only just come of age, yet clumsily tied on an apron, learning recipe by recipe to make my favorite dishes. Back then, I clutched the doll mother left behind and would not let go, crying every night until my pillow was soaked. She silently sorted through our parents' belongings, shouldering the burden of the Zhang family, while shielding me behind her, acting as both sister and mother. She held up my entire world by sheer force of will. The sense of safety I felt with Ruyan was carved into my bones. Resting my chin on my hand, I looked out the window. The neighbor's children had built a row of snowmen in red scarves. They were round and adorably clumsy. I could not help laughing. Sis, I want to play in the snow too. I gazed hopefully at my ever-composed sister. Ruyan never restricted my freedom, but whenever I went out alone, the unconcealed worry in her eyes made me feel guilty. So I quickly added, I feel great today. If you are not busy, will you build a snowman with me? Ruyan set down her glass of milk. A gentle smile warmed her eyes. All right. As I rushed for the door, she suddenly grabbed my collar and pulled me back. Put on a scarf. Before she finished speaking, a thick scarf was already wrapped around my neck. Thermal gloves, fleece-lined snow boots, and fluffy earmuffs. Then finally, a down coat reaching past my knees. She bundled me up until I looked like a round little dumpling, then patted my head in satisfaction. With your sister here, why would you need a girlfriend? I paused, deliberately sounding casual. This care, this protection, even this sense of security, are exactly what I once received from Qinghan, too. She stared at me, her eyes dark and deep, though a faint smile played on her lips. Perhaps Qinghan and I are not so different after all. Then she lowered her head and tied the hat strings beneath my chin. It was as though those loaded words had been casually spoken, but I froze where I stood. Something seemed to strike my heart. What did Ruyan mean? Like Qinghan, would she suddenly forget me one day too? Would she hurt me for someone else too? No. I immediately rejected that thought. Ruyan was not Qinghan. She would never do that. Yet her cryptic remark still left me restless and irritated. People always did this, saying only half of what they meant, forcing me to keep guessing. I trudged into the yard with my head down, grabbed a snow shovel, and struck the snow hard several times, as though the snow beneath my feet were Ruyan's deliberately mysterious face. With a clatter, the shovel suddenly slipped from my hand, hitting the ground with a dull thud. I bent down to pick it up, only to find my arm frozen in midair, unable to move. Before I could call for anyone, I was pulled into a warm, soft embrace. Resting against the Ruyan, I could clearly hear her calm, powerful heartbeat. Again and again, like a reassuring drumbeat. The doctor said amyotrophic lateral sclerosis was an incurable, terminal illness. Only medication and care could slow its progression. My muscles would gradually lose their strength, becoming stiff and wasted, until they were frozen like ice and snow. Eventually, even breathing would become a luxury. Lying in bed, I watched Ruyan tuck the blankets round me, and somehow still found the mood to joke. It is all because it is so cold outside. I froze up. Liu Ruyan bent close to my neck. Her voice trembled faintly. Yes. Once the weather warms up, you will not freeze anymore. This time, I fell silent. After a long while, I finally spoke softly and seriously. Sis, in my condition, I am not suited to be anyone's husband, much less anyone's lover. Gently, I rejected a love too heavy for me to bear. But Liu Ruyan lifted her head and leaned closer. Her gaze met mine directly. The fierce love churning in her eyes startled me. Had I overlooked it for so long? Yet her features suddenly softened, her tone calm, as though she were stating something ordinary. To me, if you choose me as your sister, I will care for you as family. If you choose me as your lover, then beyond being family, I would simply love you as a wife. There is not much difference. She paused. I am simply selfish. I want to hold one more place in your heart. Chuan, do not rush to refuse me. She looked at me with cautious pleading in her eyes. At least let me try and see whether I can do it. Qinghan fell from the cliff. She was rushed to the hospital and barely survived. But even the doctors found it strange. Every indicator showed she was out of danger. Her brain activity was remarkably active, nothing like that of a vegetative patient. Yet she showed no sign of waking. Mr. and Mrs. Gu rushed over when they received the news. Seeing their motionless daughter in the hospital bed, they could not stop themselves from angrily cursing Hu Wei, who stood nearby. I told you, you were nothing but a curse. But Qinghan was so bewitched by you she lost all sense. If we had not listened to Chuan back then, and given up on finding a doctor to restore Qinghan's memories, we never would have brought you into the Gu family. This would not have happened. They sank down weakly. Their voices brimmed with regret. When Qinghan was with a Chuan, nothing like this ever happened. We should never have listened to a Chuan. The name of Chuan echoed repeatedly in Qinghan's mind, carrying a dull sense of familiarity. A slender, radiant figure suddenly surfaced in her memory. A young man stood amid a courtyard full of gardenias, smiling brightly at her. Qinghan, the moth orchids in the greenhouse are blooming. Let us go see them together. Qinghan watched herself hurry eagerly toward him, but the instant she touched him, he shattered into countless butterflies and flew away. His sorrowful, distant sigh drifted through the air. Qinghan, there is no future for us. A Chuan in the hospital room. Qinghan's eyes flew open, her cry shattering the silence. Qinghan, you are awake. Hu Wei was ecstatic at first, then broke into sobs. You are finally awake. If you had not woken up, I would not have known what to do. Your parents would have hated me. I would have been consumed by guilt too. If I had known, I would never have let you consecrate those prayer beads for me. It is all my fault. Qinghan listened quietly. Her gaze fell on the man before her, whom, while she had amnesia, she had once cherished like a treasure. In a hoarse voice, she asked, "Where is Li Chuan?" Hu Wei froze, then bit his lip, still determined to poison Qinghan against him. You are still asking about him. You have been in the hospital so long, and he has not visited you once. A man like him clings to you when you are doing well, then stays far away when you fall on hard times. Why think about him? If you ask me, he is not that kind of person. Qinghan cut him off with a frown. Her eyes held unwavering certainty. She knew Li Chuan better than anyone. He has not come to see me because he is angry. Remembering what she had done to Li Chuan while she had amnesia, her heart felt gripped by iron pincers, crushing the breath from her lungs. Nearly frantic, she threw off the covers and rose, striding toward the door. Hu Wei clung tightly to her from behind. No matter how dense he was, he could see the clarity in her eyes. He knew she remembered. Again, just like this, the moment Li Chuan appeared, there was no room for anyone else in her eyes. Unwilling to accept it, he choked back sobs and humbled himself. Qinghan, I am sorry. I wrongly blamed Mr. Li. Perhaps he had his reasons for throwing away my engagement ring. Maybe the kidnapping at our engagement party was not some stunt he staged either. But you are still badly hurt. When you recover, I will go apologize with you, all right? How could Qinghan fail to see through his retreat to gain ground? Unyielding, she pried his fingers open one by one. Her voice was ice cold. The people who kidnapped you at the engagement party were not sent by a Chuan. If he had truly wanted to hurt you, he would not have saved you when you were both thrown into the sea. He sank into the deep sea, exhausted because he saved you. She closed her eyes briefly, a trace of impatience entering her voice. Hu Wei, I do not want to question why you were the one who found me when I had amnesia. Hu Wei's expression crumbled inch by inch. What did you say? Qinghan gave him one last deep look, shook off his hand, and strode out. You are going to find him. Then what am I to you? Hu Wei howled behind her. His voice pierced her ears, but Qinghan did not turn back. An indescribable terror surged through her. Before recovering her memory, she too had asked herself the same question. If Li Chuan truly had been the lover from her past, then the version of herself who fell for Hu Wei while amnesiac, what was she to him? A traitor. An unforgivable traitor. She could not bear to imagine Li Chuan refusing to forgive her. He was the lover she had cherished throughout all the years they grew up together. The man she had sworn to marry. Once, Even his slightest frown had pained her. Yet now she had wounded him so deeply with her own hands. Outside the Gu residence, Gu Qinghan knelt before her parents. "Mom, Dad, tell me where Chuan is. I will make things right with him." "Enough." Mrs. Gu cut her off, unable to endure it any longer. Holding her arm, she looked at her with a sorrow Gu Qinghan could not understand. "That Chuan broke off your engagement while you had amnesia. Even if you win him back, what then? He will not return." Her voice lowered, heavy with endless exhaustion. "He did not want to burden you. So he persuaded us to stop trying to restore your memories, and chose to leave the country." "Burden me," Gu Qinghan repeated instinctively as if burned. Mrs. Gu closed her eyes and drew a deep breath. At last, she said it. "Chuan did not want us to tell you, but you deserve to know what he sacrificed. When we had just found you, he was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. He brought us his medical report to break off the engagement. He said Hu Wei was the only one in your heart now. While you did not remember him, he would leave and let the two of you be together. Not burdening the rest of your life with him was the best choice." Her mind buzzed as though thunder had exploded inside it. Gu Qinghan stood frozen, her eyes empty. Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Letting them be together. Those words were needles forged from ice, piercing her heart with searing pain. The acrid smell of burning seemed to rise through her blood, saturating every limb and bone. Her heart was torn brutally in two, the agony nearly curling her into herself. How could this be? Li Chuan had promised to be with her for life. As the world spun, darkness swallowed her vision. She fell straight down the steps before the villa. In the final instant before consciousness faded, she looked at the clear, shallow lotus pond in the courtyard, dimly feeling it should have been filled with gardenias. "I saw Gu Qinghan again the day I went to the hospital for medicine. She had lost a great deal of weight, with faint shadows beneath her eyes, clearly having gone without sleep for a long time." "Why are you in London too?" I glanced over her shoulder. "Did you not come with Hu Wei? Where is he?" Gu Qinghan's pupils abruptly widened as though she had heard something unbearably painful. "Chuan, I came to apologize to you." I studied her expression, then heard that familiar form of address again. After a brief daze, I realized it. Her memories had returned, but I did not understand why she had come to apologize. By all rights, she should have been living her so-called happy life with Hu Wei. I was silent only a moment, then gently shook my head. "You do not need to apologize to me. I know Hu Wei is important to you." My tone was calm. "So when I chose to let you be together, I never intended to resent you." Gu Qinghan opened her mouth helplessly, instinctively reaching for Li Chuan's wrist. "Chuan, you are saying that because you are angry, right? You hate that I chose Hu Wei when I had amnesia. You are angry that I wronged and hurt you for him. So you are saying this on purpose, to hurt me and watch me suffer, right?" Every apology she had prepared vanished from her mind. All that remained was overwhelming panic. But before her hand could touch even the edge of my clothes, a force from behind brushed it aside. "Gu Qinghan, you have the nerve to come here." Liu Ryan's voice was cold, her gaze like sharpened ice. I caught the danger in her eyes, and quickly clasped her fingers. Looking up, I smiled as if begging for mercy. "Sis, the car is here, right? Let us go." I led Liu Ryan outside. Turning back, I spoke to Gu Qinghan with a touch of helplessness. "Gu Qinghan, I truly am not angry with you, and I do not need your apology. Living well with Hu Wei is the best repayment you can give me. I truly mean that. In my previous life, I was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis after we married. Gu Qinghan stayed by my side and cared for me. Perhaps it began as a sense of duty, but she truly stayed with me for my whole life. Many choices I have made in this life were to repay that devotion. Since I chose to let you and Hu Wei be together, I have no resentment. I am content with my life now and do not want it disturbed." On the day Liu Ryan and I married, we received gifts from Mr. and Mrs. Gu and other family and friends. There was also an anonymous fortune. It was all of Gu Qinghan's shares in the Gu group. They arrived with the share transfer agreement, along with wooden dolls seated on a wisteria swing. But jealous Liu Ryan threw them away, and I did not mind. Guided by the priest, I calmly and peacefully looked straight into Liu Ryan's eyes. "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I solemnly vow to take you as my wife. From this day forward, in fortune or hardship, wealth or poverty, sickness or health, I will love and cherish you until death." As my vow ended, someone in the audience lost all light in her eyes. During the countless days she secretly watched over Li Chuan, Gu Qinghan questioned herself more than once. Should she simply kidnap Li Chuan and keep him at her side? He might hate and despise her for it, but at least he would be hers. Especially whenever she saw Li Chuan smile so brightly at Liu Ryan. The possessiveness in her heart rose like towering waves. But whenever she remembered Li Chuan's helplessness during an episode, Gu Qinghan would tremble as she set aside the phone containing the message she had already composed. More than anyone, she knew what Li Chuan hated most. Others seeing him so vulnerable and undignified when his illness struck. But he never rejected Liu Ruyan being near him during those moments. He would even cling to her and burrow into her arms. Whenever he was by Liu Ruyan's side, the light in his eyes and the smile on his lips were relaxed and free, without the slightest shadow. She could not take that happiness from him. Qinghan still remembered why she had first fallen for Li Chuan. She had only hoped this young man could always smile that sweetly. Nothing more. Now, Li Chuan no longer loved her. She could not give him the happiness he wanted. Then she should at least not destroy the happiness he had now. Let it be this way. She told herself that countless times. She would stay until he married and watch him with her own eyes, step into the happiness meant for him. Then she would leave with dignity. But when the wedding day truly came, Qinghan finally understood the soul-rending agony of not being able to let go. If only she had not lost her memory. Li Chuan should have been her husband. If, during her amnesia, she had broken free from Huai's control, perhaps Li Chuan would have waited a little longer for her. After all was said and done, the one she should blame most was herself. She clenched the pair of wooden dolls Liu Ruyan had thrown away. In the end, she ran from the wedding like a deserter. After returning home, she did not go back to the Gu family. She went straight to the mountain temple, where she had once fallen off the cliff. Qinghan bowed deeply to the abbot. If I gave up every wish I have for the rest of my life, in exchange for another life, would that be possible? The abbot looked at her with compassion. His voice was calm and still. Benefactor, every cause becomes an effect, and every effect becomes a cause. You pray for another life. But how do you know this life is not what you prayed for in your past one? At first, Qinghan did not understand the deeper meaning of those words. Not until one utterly ordinary night, she came across a new puppy video Li Chuan had posted online. Her gaze was still soft with affection when a heavy wave of drowsiness suddenly swept over her. In a daze, she became an observer, watching an entirely different life unfold. In that life, Mr. and Mrs. Gu forcibly brought her back to the Gu family. She regained her memories more smoothly than she had this time, and married Li Chuan. Not long after their wedding, Li Chuan was diagnosed with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. But unlike in reality, he did not see himself as a burden. Instead, he smiled and said they would face it together. She heard herself tell him, "We love each other enough. That hardship will never defeat us. No matter what mountains or storms lie ahead, I will face them with you." Her words were tender and full of love, but only the observing Qinghan knew that her heart had already become a lifeless pool when she said them. Huai was dead. Her kindness toward Li Chuan was nothing but fulfilling her duty. Behind Li Chuan's back, she prostrated herself at every step, climbing every mountain temple marked with stone tablets. Holding his hand, she traced the names on those tablets again and again, praying for his safety and long life. But no one knew that after climbing each mountain, she would secretly write out a rebirth mantra for Huai. She hoped he would not die for her again in his next life. She hoped they could have a different ending. After Li Chuan died, she burned every prayer for rebirth she had written for Huai. Amid flames that filled the sky, an ethereal yet commanding voice rang out, "As you wish." The scene abruptly shifted to after Li Chuan's rebirth. He calmly stopped his subordinates from finding a doctor to restore her memories. Qinghan jolted awake from the dream, gasping for air. Endless darkness of night enveloped her. Her limbs tingled as though they had been gnawed by ants. The trembling deep within her soul would not fade. Her heart pounded violently in her chest. Every beat thundered through her. Dully, she pressed a hand to her chest, where pain had long since turned to numbness. Qinghan tried to smile, but it quickly froze on her face. Her eyes slowly reddened. So all of this was what I had asked for myself. She had been blind and foolish, unable to see her own true heart. She could not see through love's tangled illusion. Every bitter consequence was of her own making. Early the next morning, Qinghan went to the mountain temple's abbot once more. Calmly, she said, "I wish to become a nun. May I choose my own dharma name?" "You may." "Then let it be Li Sheng." Li from Li Chuan's name and Sheng from rebirth. For the rest of her life, beside the Buddha's lamp, she would recite prayers for his rebirth. She asked only that, in his next life, he be free of illness and misfortune, safe and blessed,